So the February 11th balance patch in Guild Wars 2 changed a lot in PvE, and today I want to take a look at how defensive supports were affected. If you want to see my full tier list, how I rate the defensive supports, be sure to check out the video in the top right hand corner or in the description below. Today I just want to talk about the changes with the balance patch. So really important to note that I not only rate how much they heal, but I also note how much utility they bring, how easy it is to perform on them, how flexible they are and what they can do. And of course, I also take into consideration if they are very easy to pre-stack with, if they can keep up the boons very easily without having a target, or if you have to really stick to a very rigid rotation. All of that is taken into account. But with that much out of the way, let's start with the tier ups. And now with that much out of the way, let's start with the changes. So that's the tier list from last time. Let's take a look at the first change that we have here. So I put Bladezorn in troll tier, and with the recent buffs, I would say Bladezorn, Heal Alacrity Bladezorn is actually for me low B tier now. It is very playable, it is a little bit gimmicky, but it works, it does its job, so that's why it's for me in B tier. The same actually goes for Berserker. Berserker is completely playable. I wouldn't say it's one of the best healers, but if you want to play a warrior and you want to heal in PvE, that's the best option together with Bladezorn. Those two are now B tier for me. That's just straight up what changed. I have to admit, those are mostly because I would say they are better in my opinion right now. They did not get too many changes, so that's just my opinion that changed a bit. Now we get a real change. Scrapper was in B tier, now gets even better because of the quality of life changes. So I would say Scrapper for me is now A tier. Healing Scrapper is very good as a healer, has some nice quickness application, boons access is good, very nice. So perfect A tier build for me. We have also a change that I would make for myself personally. I think Scourge for me goes into high A tier. I think it is not worthy of being an S tier anymore. It has amazing cleanse, amazing barrier, it amazing revives, but I think what lacks is the stability. And I think the stability access is, at this point, there are so many classes that have better stability access than Scourge that I would say in a lot of things, for example in fractals, in strike missions where a lot of stability is needed in raids, it's actually not worth to run it if you can't get offensive support like a Quickness Herald that can provide a lot of stability. And nowadays Quickness Herald got nerfed, and I think that also nerfed the defensive support of the Healing Scourge. So I think for me it's a high A tier build now because of the missing stability access. Yes, I know you can get it with the trail, but that's not enough in my opinion. So that's why it's in high A tier. The next change that I want to make is actually in regards to Healing Catalyst. I recently put out a build guide about Healing Catalyst, so be sure to check it out in the top right hand corner. And while I did my research on that, I noticed that this build is heavily underrated. It is so strong, it's amazing. It can upkeep 10 boons permanently without any help. It's so strong, it has amazing healing, so that's why I would put it in low S tier. It is not as flexible in the utilities and stuff like Druid and Chronomancer, so those two definitely stay in S tier for me and a little bit higher than the Healing Catalyst. But in my opinion, from the amount of boons and the utility and healing that it has baked into its kit, it's really, really good. So that's why it's an S tier for me. Low S tier, but still S tier. Then we have some really big changes to Specter. This is probably the most changed build from this patch because they heavily reworked how you support your allies. You are now very easily capable of upkeeping all the boons that you need. You can even upkeep resistance and stability almost 100%. It's crazy. You have amazing barrier access, probably the best barrier access out there, even better than Scourge I would say. You have very strong cleanses, you have extremely strong healing as well. So this build is heavily underrated. Be sure to check out my build guide about it as well. And very important here, I think this buff made it so that this Healing Specter, if you can min-max with the teleporting that you have to do and with the ally targeting, which both, I agree, can be a little bit annoying, but if you know how to deal with it, it's actually for me, again, a low S tier build. Yes, Specter, in my opinion, got from B to S tier. Low S tier, still, I think it's very, very strong. It is so easy if you know how to ally target that it's able to upkeep all those boons very easily, and you can do all of the mechanics because you teleport around so easily. It's very, very underrated and very, very strong. On the same note, and that's actually important, I think I have to put and promote Firebrand to S tier. I think Firebrand for me, together with Chronomancer, are the best builds for supports and fractals. And I think Firebrand is extremely strong from the healing and the boons outputs. It has amazing stability access together with Chronomancer, probably the best amount of stability that you can put out. Really, really good. I'm not talking about the 100% that Specter and Catalyst actually can upkeep. I'm talking about the frequency that Chronomancer and Guardian can put it out. They are unrivaled in that sense. You can upkeep it very highly, but you can also spam it very frequently, which is obviously sometimes better than having it 100% if there's multiple CCs that hit you. So really important there. But Firebrand is very hard to play. I think it's one of the hardest supports that you can play, at least if you want to play it perfectly. And it's the important part. It's also hard to play it somewhat decently because you have to be aware of the cones, you have to be aware of what your skills actually do. So you have a lot of tome skills. You also have a lot, and that's the important part here, a lot of healing skills baked into some kind of niche scenarios. So you have to dodge, you have to use your F-tomes and stuff first, and you get your heals from that. And they are all somewhat hard to hit. They are not easy. They are not an AoE around you all the time. Sometimes it's cones. So always be aware of where you are, what you are doing. And this makes this build actually hard. Even the quickness is a cone. So it's not that easy to keep up your boons if you don't know what you're doing. And that's why, and that's sorry for that, but I think this is an S tier build for people that know how to play. But people that just started out and play this build and think it plays itself because it has amazing things that I just said, no, it's not like that. So for people, and that's the sad part here, for people that are actually starting out and playing this build, I have to say that there's a second Firebrand, and I think for me the second Firebrand is Troll tier. So if you play Firebrand, or maybe low B tier, I think if you play Firebrand and don't know how to position, how to do your stuff, you will not receive any healing as a party member. You will not receive almost any quickness and boons. So it's really important that you know how to play it. If you can't play it, I think a Firebrand is Troll tier. That's the important part here. If you play Chronomancer, if you play Druid, even if you play Catalyst and Specter, you play it to some extent and spam your skills, you will succeed for easy fights. But if you play a Firebrand and if you don't know what you're doing, the party will fail because you can't upkeep the boons, you can't upkeep the easy healing. So that's why I have two Firebrands in here. One of them is Troll if you can't play it, or low B tier, I don't know, depends. And one of them is S tier. So really important. Please take that into account when you decide what support you want to go for. Short note after recording this video, you could make an argument for putting Untamed and healing Renegade actually in low A tier as well. They both work very decently well. However, I think they are a little bit gimmicky in what they can do and how they can provide it, and have less utility than classes in A and S tier, I would say. So it depends a bit on how you play it and who you ask and which encounter you play it. So just that you know, they are perfectly playable, and I think they are either low A tier or high B tier. Let me know your comments on that. I think I made it very clear what changed, how I feel like what is actually still playable. Other than that, nothing really changed. So we can still play the classes in B tier. I would not recommend to play the B or Troll tier at all. But A tier is completely fine, and the gap between S and A tier is not that high. And a lot of supports are actually in A tier. So it's really, really good. And S tier, of course, very versatile, very strong, especially in Fractals, Chronomancer, and Firebrand are good. But in raids, I would say all the 5, or strike missions, all those 5 are really, really good. So let me know your take in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like. If you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks to all my supporters on Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube. Thanks Malice, thanks Lane, and I hope to see you all in the next video.